about 60 days at most. And then for the most part, get ready to get it again, because you can get it again. So it's just part of it. That's just the way it goes. And so I think people need to take precautions. I think you need to follow the CDC guidelines. I think a lot of that stuff would be helpful. So with that being said, just be prepared to hear a lot of this. That's all I can say.
I'm sorry, John.
Yes?
We just got on.
Oh.
So all that good information.
Well, this monitor's not on either.
I think it says we're the Dr. Be Good show right now.
Oh, we're the Ask Dr. Be Good show.
Which is a great show.
It is a great show.
Yes.
We encourage you to watch it on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So are we live right now, or are we not live?
Right now, we are live.
Right now, we are live.
There we are.
We are live,
Would you like to try the intro real quick?
Yeah, let's party, and then we'll get Dr. Good on.
All right.
Oh, we gotta do this. Oh, we get the music again.
Wait a minute.
I like
the
this music.
It makes me do this.
I know.
You realize it's an automatic function, right? Like, I can't stop this.
Oh, that's
and then I like
easy.
to bounce
That's
in this
an
chair.
easy one.
This is a good chair to bounce in.
You enjoy your
I really do.
air guitar.
Well, you know what this is? This is exercise for the cronuts. I'm cronut sizing. I'm cronut exercising. Well, good morning again. Welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, and it's an exciting day. It's currently 7:35 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
All right, JP, we've got sunny and 81 degrees here in Frisco, Texas at VentureX Studios. We're super excited to be here. Cold front has been broken. We are headed towards a high of 98 and a low of 78. And the humidity, JP, dun, 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 dun. Well, 69%.
Yeah.
I guess that's not bad.
Okay, whatever. When you start saying
It's
things
not
are
too
not
bad.
that's when it's bad.
And then I correct myself and go, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
It's bad. All right. So we should have Dr. Be Good, Ask Dr. Be Good, on with us. Where is Dr. Be Good at?
We do, and I've got to start my software.
Get her out of the waiting room,
Oh,
man.
my
Get her out of the waiting room, Charles.
I've got to get the software. Give me about
Good
1
morning,
minute.
Kevin.
Charles, you
How
need
are
to start
you?
eating more cronuts.
She can
That's
talk
all I
with
can
us.
say.
She can talk with us.
She can talk with us. Dr. Good, what's going on, girl?
Well, let's see. We are changing our times because the commissioner has changed his times. If you'll remember, back in March, we started having, first it was everyday phone calls, then it went to twice a week for months, and now he has changed it to once a week every Thursday. So you guys seem to want to know about his calls.
Yes.
And so, and Wednesday was a little crazy, and so JP, I had called and said, oh, sorry, I missed my time. Things were crazy. I think things were going on at your place, too, that were sort of during your show, so you didn't really miss me.
They were. Well, you're always missed. Let's not let's not go there. So, but yeah, I agree.
But so anyway, but ironically enough, actually the commissioner's calls start next week on Thursday. But schools are starting. We have schools that have started,
Right.
and my grandkids started school yesterday, not in Texas, but in Georgia. And they had the girls, they were 5 and 10 years old, very excited about being back in school. And the schools were very good about social distancing and mask wearing and so forth. What I will tell you, and we're all seeing pictures, there are schools, especially at the secondary level, where the kids are just not following the rules. And so parents, you need to help us with that. If you have a secondary level child, and their school is starting and they're going back to school after the remote learning is done, please make sure that they understand the need for that. We're getting reports all over the country about coronavirus outbreaks after kids go back to school because they're not social distancing. So that's a big piece that we need to really help our kids understand of all ages. Now, the thing that's happening in Texas right now is, especially depending on where you live in Texas and depending on how hot your spot is, okay? And that's one thing that we have to remember about being in Texas and knowing how school is going to start or if school is going to start in the classroom. We can't assume that every school in Texas is going to be the same. In College Station, they've had very few coronavirus cases, and so 70% of the parents want their kids back. In this area, in the Houston area, 30% want to go back to school. So
it's flip flop basically between those two areas of the state.
Yes. So it really depends. People will ask me questions about Texas, and it's like, you have to tell me what part of Texas.
Be more specific. Texas is a big state. Well, and that's true, and it's interesting because then it also varies. What I'm finding with conversations with my son, who is still school age, is that you've got varying different degrees between the parents and the kids. You've got some parents who are very nervous for their kid to go back to school, and then the kids are fighting them on that because they do want to go back to school in this area when it phases in for phase 2, where you do have in-person or in-person face-to-face learning. So I think it's kind of fascinating how it all goes together. And you're right, it depends on what neck of the woods you're in largely as to that higher percentage of wanting to go back versus not going back.
This is a real opportunity for parents, especially parents of kids like your age, your son's age, where you almost have to say, let's cut a deal. Hey, if you will, tell me that you're going to socially distance, you're going to resist the urge to go hug everybody you see when you get there, and you're going to wear your mask, and you're going to wash your hands, then I'm going to feel more comfortable, letting you go back to school.
Yeah. It's not one of those opportunities like you like to look for, because you're always thinking on the positive for opening communication up between kids, and another way to put kids on the responsibility side versus the being taken care of side.
Right. And here's another thing that superintendents are becoming aware of in this area, and that is, even though we all said we're remote learning for the first 4 weeks, if we have parents who are first responders, and the first responder definition has changed in our world.
Right.
If we have parents who are, and they must go to work,
so
and they don't have any place.
You're talking about the, a nurse, a doctor, ER, that kind of a thing.
Well, further than that now, essential personnel that is a custodian at a place that has to be open.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, we have support personnel, and a lot of our parents are support personnel, and they are needed at their job. And so it is my understanding that for those type of people, and for people who can't get internet in their home, they can actually drop their kids off at school when school opens. Now, what will happen is the kids will be put in a gym or a cafeteria, of course, distant, spaced apart, but they will remote learn from school.
Okay, so that physically be in a school, obviously social distance, all that kind of stuff, but then it's going to be, oh, and by the way, you look very lovely in your pink workout top. I just saw you on the screen. I'm like, oh, look how cute Dr. B. Good looks today.
I have an 8 o'clock. I have an 8 o'clock meeting, so I had to work out now or never.
There you go. Well, so these kids will be in school, but it's not like they'll be getting the same online experience of their friends. It will just be physically at the school.
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to put that out there for those of you. I'm sure you all have parents who are just tearing their hair out. Both of them have to work. Both of them are essential somewhere outside of the home, and they don't know what to do with their kids. Well, it's my understanding that superintendents are preparing for families like that.
Good.
And,
okay, good.
So if you know anybody, just there is an answer. There's a help for that problem.
Well, and so who should they reach out to, Dr. Good? And let's say they're in a school district and they don't know anybody. Who do they contact?
I would contact the principal and say, it's my understanding that I have the ability to drop my child off so that they can remote learn from your school because I have to go to work.
Right.
And so what time can I drop them off?
Okay. Perfect. And that's, again, Dr. Good is, it's so great to listen to her show on Sundays and then again on Thursdays, because she talks about opportunities like this for parents to truly advocate for their kids' education, which JP is just so crucial and especially in today's society. So great tip, Dr. Good.
See, I disagree. I think that we just need to keep moving towards the age of idiocracy, and the rest of us will take over the world.
Well, but can't agree with the fact that you can't disagree with the fact that Dr. Good's a great advocate for public education.
Well, no, because she's not advocating for idiocracy.
Well, it's good. It's good. Kathy and I are here, and we can take it.
Kathy and I are
Thank you
here,
so
and we
much.
can take
Dr.
it.
Good
I
to the
love it.
rescue.
You know,
I
though,
love it.
here's the bottom line, though, Dr. Good. I mean, we're already preaching idiocracy in the federal government. Our local governments have lost their mind. I mean, it blows me away that common sense has lent itself now to idiocracy. And if we're not careful, we're going to start passing on the same thing to our students.
Well, but at least not in my district. Okay?
There you go.
Amen.
Good answer.
So
answer.
really, then, your district will just take over the world. I want to make sure I'm a part of that, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
In the zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse, we're hanging out with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so, Dr. Be Good, we will tune in on Sunday at 8 o'clock to see you, because that's an exciting show to watch, and especially in these times when we are trying to figure out what on earth is going on.
No kidding. Public education has never meant so much as it has during this time. It's good that we're finally getting the attention we deserve. Maybe a little late.
Yeah.
Finally, we're getting it.
Too little, too late. But, well, and here's the thing again, I think, and as we approach school, and once we found out school was going to be remote, the majority of it was going to be remote the first at least month, parents went into panic mode, and I say that's always good for the teachers. I think teachers are going to clean up with Starbucks gift cards and, oh, what's your favorite restaurant? Can I get you a DoorDash or an Uber Eats gift card? I think that educators are getting that appreciation. Now, there are some parents who have always been so good to teachers, but
Yeah.
I think there are some that are going, wait a second. This is not glorified babysitting. I don't know what I'm doing, and thank God for these school teachers.
Well, yeah, teachers' value, I think, has gone up, and they deserve that, and let's hope it sticks.
Yeah, there you go. Amen to that.
You know, Dr. Ed, real quick before we let you go, one of the big things that I think is going to be the telling truth for all of this, it isn't so much that people have COVID-19 and they're walking in sick. I don't know if you saw in the news yesterday, but the governor of Ohio had tested positive for COVID-19, but had zero symptoms. I mean, none. He had no idea he was walking around with COVID-19 until they had to be tested before he could meet with the president. And that's what this morning I talked about an article that showed 4 teachers testing positive for COVID-19. And to me, it seems like the common sense thing here is take your own temperature. I'll do all that. That's all great stuff. But if we're going to work in the public domain, then maybe we should be submitting ourselves to testing, because we may be walking around with absolutely no idea we have it. And if we do,
and that happens a lot.
It does. Get 2 negative tests and then go back to work. What are your thoughts, Dr. Good?
Well, we're going to have to do something. My 84-year-old father had COVID, and he had no symptoms. So it doesn't matter the age. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think we're going to have to come up with a protocol, and that's probably beyond your job level of mine, to come up with a protocol where it allows people, adults in a school building, that we can be assured aren't carriers. So maybe that's something that we need to petition to the CDC or the county health departments to come up with.
Not a bad idea. I think there's going to have to be something, because again, it's the people who, we all know, and well, you should know nowadays, besides washing your hands and being, clean and everything. But I think, we've learned, okay, stay at home if you're coughing or sneezing and it's not allergy related, and you don't feel well, or if you're running a fever, just stay home. Better safe than sorry. What do you do for people who are walking around who have no idea? That's frightening.
I don't know.
Well, there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's almost like we need to be testing to make sure that we are not walking around with no symptoms, no idea we have it, so it doesn't get spread. I don't know that a mask or social distancing is ever going to prevent that kind of COVID. It's almost like it is a spy COVID, out there being released upon
Covert
the zombie
ops.
land. Yeah,
Covert
absolutely.
ops.
Covert ops COVID.
I don't know,
Yes.
JP, if I've got it and I'm asymptomatic, but I've got it and I'm wearing a mask and I'm socially distancing, then people should be safe from me, right?
Well, you
Isn't
say
that
that.
what they say?
Well, you say
That's
that
what they
as long as
say.
you don't go out in the public at all. Because if you go sit down at a restaurant, you take your mask off.
That's true.
I mean, if you go to a place where you're drinking water, you take your mask off. If you're going to be at a ball game and you're going to grab a snack or eat food,
Or eat some
you take your
popcorn,
mask
yeah.
off. My point is that unless we put permanent masks, like permanent tattoo makeup, on our face,
Oh, let's not go down that road.
it's just not going to happen. Because,
How about mandatory testing? Mandatory by the government. How about that?
well,
Every
no,
week.
I'm anti-mandatory government testing. That's for darn sure.
Well, that's about
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
you know,
Dr.
that's
Good,
the
like,
answer right there.
like you've got time in your schedule for one more mandatory thing during the week. Okay, good luck with that.
Yeah, anything that says government in it, you've just created a fallacy of anything being decently good. We do have one quick question, Dr. Good, that's come from the crew. Why are the teacher unions so opposed to charter schools?
Because they are under the impression that we're stealing money from the traditional schools, and what they don't really embrace is the fact that, first of all, parents asked the government to come up with a school system that would be more attuned to certain parents' choice. So what I mean by that is 20, 30 years ago, the public schools were not meeting the needs of parents. Parents went to their state governments and said, hey, we need some other kind of public school that will function better for my child because the current traditional school setting is not working for my child. Legislators listened. In this case, in Texas, 23 years ago, during George Bush time, the parents were loud enough that they actually put into law the ability to start charter schools in Texas. And they have met needs. Matter of fact, if you look at the data around charter schools in Texas, we serve more kids minority, we serve more poverty kids, we serve more special ed kids, and we do better with them. We graduate them at higher levels, and they are more college ready. So we have answered a parent choice need that many people, it's not only unions, many people refuse to acknowledge that charters have created a niche for parents and been very successful at it.
Well, and I think that is spot on. I mean, it's funny. It's everything else that controls the world because it's fear, afraid of almost the unknown. And you'd have thought that charters have been around long enough. There's no more of a fear of the unknown, but it seems like there's still that fear out there.
Well, the research shows that anytime a charter is opened in an ISD area, the ISD usually improves because of the competition. And so charters are actually good for ISDs because it makes them sit up and pay attention and say, what can we do to stop our kids leaving and going to that local charter school nearby?
Yeah.
And so, and Dr. Hinojosa is a perfect example. When he finally figured out, the second time he came back, and he figured out why his enrollment wasn't going up and that he had lost thousands of kids to charter schools, he started having to put lots of money and cool, good programs in his South Dallas schools. And he bettered those programs and bettered those high schools like Seagoville High School and some of those in Pleasant Grove. And they are much better now for those students, and those students are much more capable of being college ready now that the ISD had to pay attention to why kids and families were leaving those high schools in that area.
All right, Dr. Good, we got to take a real quick station identification. We are JP, Kathy, and the crew. Welcome to the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. We love that you are with us. Thank you for making us fun, happy, excited. Although I do have one thing to say. Why so early? Why couldn't we do this just a little bit later?
Well, 7:30 is later than 7.
Thank you, Craig.
And that's later than 6 when we used to be on the
Yeah,
air.
I guess I can't
Whew,
complain too
remember when we
terribly
used
much.
to drive out to Irving?
Yes.
And we were on air by 6 a.m.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I remember that. So anyway, welcome
Wow.
to VentureX Studios here in Frisco, Texas, and thank you for welcoming us into your homes or your offices, wherever you might be. We need you to share and like us and follow us and all kinds of fun stuff. Our goal is to be at 100,000 followers and subscribers on YouTube by June. Help us get there. By the way, thank you so much to the crew and family and friends out there who got us over 100. We were at 105 the other day, subscribers on YouTube.
Awesome.
And so
We got cronuts too.
and we got cronuts.
And we're trending in the right direction.
We're trending. I like that. Good use of the word. And also, our network is expanding. We're getting ready to launch 8 shows onto the JP, Kathy, and the Crew network. And by the end of the month, we will have 12 shows out there. We've got one right now. She started off with us at Ask Dr. Be Good. She's
Love
on with
it.
us every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock with a replay on Thursdays at 5 o'clock. And so, Dr. Be Good, again, cannot thank you enough for joining us this morning and keeping us updated with what's going on in education in the state of Texas. Is she with us or did we lose her?
I think she's still with us.
All right.
Mm.
All right. So it is currently 7:55 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
All right, JP, we've got mostly sunny today. We are headed towards a high of 98 degrees. So the cool front slowly has gone away. Low of 78 and humidity, because I know you want to know, still at 69%.
Yeah, well, and that thing does fluctuate, by the way.
Oh, it does.
That
Like,
nasty thing called
literally
humidity.
Literally within one break time, it'll be back up or down. I'm looking for a
Absolutely.
trending down for this one. Up for YouTube, down for humidity.
Right.
And you're welcome.
And there's an alert there. Follow us, follow us, follow us. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. That's right. Get out there and follow us. You can like us. You can follow us. You can subscribe to us. Can you imagine being able to subscribe to people? You can subscribe to us here at JP, Kathy, and the Crew. Welcome to the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. If you are interested in being a sponsor here at JP, Kathy, and the Crew, let us know. If you would like your own show, come talk to us. We've got some great shows getting ready to launch. We're going to be talking bail bonds. We're going to be talking bondsmen chasing down those pesky non-court shower-uppers. We're going to be talking barbecue. We're going to be talking some criminal justice with some lawyers. We're going to be talking
A Christian Kids Show.
Christian Kids Creative Arts
We've got
Show.
a show about the Constitution with one of our
Brunch
founding
with
fathers.
Ben, thank you very much.
Can't wait. That starts in
That's right.
September. So
That's right.
Very
So
exciting.
lots of really cool stuff. And one of our feature shows is Dr. Good at Ask Dr. Be Good with education. Then another one of our feature shows will be a financial show that we're bringing to you, a husband-wife team. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What are the 3 things that kill a marriage? Woo! Do you know it?
Communication, finance, and something.
Sex. You can say it. It's okay.
Oh, is that it? No,
Oh, yeah,
I,
yeah,
didn't.
no,
I
seriously.
was trying to remember. I mean, I've been married for a while, so I'm trying to remember what the top 3 are. Luckily, we're going pretty okay in all areas, so it's going good.
Yep, but those are the 3 things that'll kill you if you're not careful. That is for sure. So, very excited about being able to bring you great programming. So we've got 2 great feature shows that are going to be rolling out. Well, Dr. Be Good's already rolled out to you. And then coming up today, we're going to be talking with Chad Green, and we're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter and what happened in McKinney. We're also going to be then talking with Miss Texas, and I am excited.
Can't wait. Yeah, we have not had Chandler on for a while with the COVID and all the craziness, and then us changing to a new studio. But we have her back today, and I think we're going to have her back on a monthly basis. And she's got all kinds of stuff to update us on. Longest reigning Miss Texas in history.
Well, and I think that we're just going to have to kick old Miss Texas off and bring Dad on. I think Dad's much more fun to talk to.
He may pop on.
We got to
He
talk.
might pop on.
We need to talk football and barbecue. That's all I can tell you. That's what we need to be doing. Well, unless, of course, Chandler wants to marry me. I could ask her to marry me on the air.
I think your girlfriend would be upset about that.
I think you're probably right.
I don't
Yeah, I
think that
think
would
you're
go
probably
well, okay?
Yeah, well, I think she's probably got better opportunities anyway. So, no doubt about that. So, party on with us here at JP, Kathy, and the Crew. We come on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. We want you to follow us. We want you to like us. We're looking for help us reach our goal, 100,000 followers, subscribers by June. help us get there. We want to thank you for getting us over 100.
No pressure.
On YouTube. Tons of pressure. I'm not. Don't. Kathy can give you the number. I'd say lots of pressure.
No pressure.
Lots of pressure. All right, let's go ahead and cover a little bit of local news. A lot going on in the local news. Let's talk about what Dr. Good was talking about. Coronavirus, COVID-19 in our school districts. Staff members at 4 North Texas school districts have tested positive for COVID-19. Mansfield being one of them, Frisco being another one of those, Keene being one of them, and Wiley ISD. And again, here's the thing. We're not hearing about people being deathly ill, Kathy. We're not hearing about people being falling out of their chair and needing to be taken to the hospital, COVID-19. Again, it's like the governor of Ohio. People just don't know that they have COVID-19. They're showing no symptoms whatsoever.
And unless you're going to some kind of event where, like the governor of Ohio is going to be with President Trump, unless you're going in for surgery and you're going to be tested, people just don't know. I have a number of friends who are finally getting around to getting their elective surgery that they couldn't get months ago because of the complete shutdown. And several of them have gone in, felt fine, tested positive, had to delay their surgery again. So we keep saying better safe than sorry. If you don't feel well, stay home. But nowadays, like I just, when you were talking to Dr. Good, I thought about something I just did. I was in this grocery store the other day, and it was a longer grocery store trip than normal. I usually try to get in and out very quickly. So I ended up getting a soda to drink, to take a sip of while I was still in the store. And I remember, I pulled my mask down to drink it. And I thought, okay, should I have just sucked it up and waited till I got in the car?
Right.
Because I didn't think, yes, obviously when you go to a restaurant, you're going to take your mask off to eat.
Right.
But heck, you're right. I was at a grocery store where I don't take my mask off any longer, but I did for that split 30 seconds or so, JP.
Yep.
So
and we do. I mean,
and I didn't even think about that until you said that. I was like, well, doggone it. He's right, because I just did that the other day.
It's something we do. We got Corley Randolph with us from Frameworks. And he needs to get up here. Are you
He
walking
wants some
out the
coffee.
Oh, you better hurry up. You better go get that coffee.
Go get. I know.
He wants to- he wants to see the coffee.
You got
here
30
at
seconds.
VentureX, so
30 seconds, young man.
he's like, doggone.
He
He's
wants
like,
that
he's
coffee
sprinting.
right?
He's
machine to
sprinting.
give him the inspiration he needs.
Inspirational coffee.
Yes, right.
I like the Mr. Bean mini car where the coffee beans in the car driving down the road. I think that's kind of
Oh,
fun.
on the little screen.
Oh,
I
and we
know.
also owe
So
we owe the Freds a happy birthday, by the way.
Oh yes, Fred had a birthday.
Yeah,
so
Fred had a
happy birthday.
And so I think Kayla did too. I think.
And Fred did. Somebody.
Was it Kayla?
Somebody else. Doggone it. Who was it?
No, it wasn't doggone.
I'd have to go look. And then we had Charles Gurr, our own Charles. His parents celebrated what anniversary was that?
61 years.
God bless them. That's so. When you hear about that in today's society, it just literally makes your heart leap.
Well,
it does me. I know.
You know
I
what I'm
love
going to tell you?
that.
I'm going to tell you the
And so
success.
anniversary blessings to those two.
Let me share the success of that. This is kind of cool. My mom and dad always had conversation, and they did not always agree on their conversation, and they were not afraid to banter back and forth, and they never stopped loving each other and always loved each other no matter what the bantering was about, right? Well, I got to spend probably about 25 years around Joan and Jim. And Joan and Jim acted a lot like my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Both strong Marines.
Yep.
Because,
And God bless them for their service.
Yeah, got married after 3 months and had beautiful children, right? If I could have married Chuck, I'd have married him.
Charles is a nice-looking man, but he does not go that way. He's all man.
Okay, I'd have married Chrissy. She married a John.
Yeah, she married a John.
She married a John. I mean, good taste in names.
But
Well,
he's
a
a-
beautiful
he's a,
family. Beautiful family.
He's a smart guy.
He's a what is it? A rocket scientist?
Yeah, he's a
or
rocket
whatever,
scientist.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there you go.
Anyways, my point is,
Literally a rocket scientist.
all joking aside, though, Joan wasn't afraid to be the matriarch of the family, and Jim wasn't afraid to be the patriarch of the family. And sometimes they would clash, and I got to witness that being a part of the family. And it works. That's what makes a marriage work. And they have been together for 61 years. My parents, before my mother passed, they were together for over 40 years. And that's the marriages that seem to work. Lots of communication and disagreements.
And here's the thing: you don't.
With lots of love.
You don't
Tons of love.
lots of disagreements. I mean, you would hope
God,
that
they were
there's more
hilarious.
agreeing than disagreeing. But the thing is, can you show your spouse respect when you're having that disagreement. I think it comes back to, and this may be a good battle of the sexes question for down the road, because it's so important that in your communication that if you disagree, that you do it in a kind and respectful manner to your spouse. That should be your best friend. And would you talk to your best girlfriend or guy friend like that? Well, no, if you wouldn't, then you sure shouldn't talk to your spouse that way.
All right.
Says a woman who has no expertise whatsoever.
So before I jump in on that, it's 8:03 currently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
All right, JP, we are looking at almost a high of 100 today. We're back up into the normal August weather. So we've got a high of 98, sunny and currently 81 here in Frisco, Texas at VentureX. And then we are headed towards a low of 78. And let's see, humidity still at 69.
69%. Woo!
If we don't trend up, we're good.
Hey, Charles, can you resend the link to Chad Green at his email? He says he didn't get it. And so
Yes.
we've got Chad Green coming on at 8:13 this morning. Coralie, what are you doing? No, get in the chair. Let's go.
I'm hanging
Get
out.
the headset on. Get in the chair. This is Coralie
I'm hanging
Randolph
out.
with Frameworks PR. And he's PRing behind the scenes. I don't know why. We need to PR in front of the scenes.
Good morning.
So, good morning, and sit down over here. So, Coralie is part of JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network.
He's one of our original partners.
Team. Well, he's our team.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
You've now met the team.
Hey.
That's made all
you
of
get
this
to hear
happen.
Charles all the time. Now, Charles will have a camera on him before too long.
Well, I'm hoping
I'm
so.
looking right at him right now.
So,
Right.
But
no,
we're
on
not
you,
seeing
Charles.
you.
We want you on
We
the
want
camera
you.
too.
Oh, yeah,
that's happening.
Oh, Charles, I'm
that's
sorry.
happening.
Yeah, you
We don't
thought
need
you
that.
thought that you
Oh, no,
thought you were
that's
going to get
happening.
away with
Oh,
that.
that's
Oh, it's
happening.
happening, honey. We might have like a profile and a front-on camera for you.
Absolutely.
So there's that. He's like,
There's
oh.
That's
So everybody
the one I
welcome.
needed.
Oh, everybody welcome Coralie Randolph. He's joining us this morning. Good morning, Coralie. Oh, we got to get his
Oh.
mic on. Oh,
Mike.
Charles was
Yeah,
not
well,
on.
It may
we're
help so we
taking
can
the
hear
mic.
that lovely
There we
voice.
Lovely voice.
Yeah,
See,
you
there
do
you are.
have a lovely
Good
voice.
morning.
Sure, good morning.
And you're a musician too, so come on.
Oh, I can sing and you can play a musical instrument.
Let's do it.
Or he could
Or
do
no.
both. Or he could
He
sing
could do
and play
both.
the musical instrument.
You can do both. That can happen. That can happen, I guess. So, again, back to the COVID-19 conversation with teachers and what Kathy was saying. And what I said with Dr. Good earlier, we're going to be walking around. And I mean, like I said, the governor in Ohio had no idea. None whatsoever. And so what is the answer to that? Well, I think that if we're working in the public domain, that we should voluntarily want to test before we get in with a large group of people in the public domain so that we can verify that we're not one of those people walking around without knowing that we have it.
Yeah, I mean, and
Not
there's
government mandated.
Yeah,
I think we should voluntarily
there's not
do
any
it.
malice in that. Like Dr. Good said, her 84-year-old dad had 0 symptoms,
Right.
tested positive.
Well, and then somebody up here said that I think it was Sue Kirk, her 100-year-old aunt.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yep. I mean, just crazy.
And they had a false positive and then 2 test negatives. And so I get it that the testing is not perfect, and it's not. And they're saying that there's a 5 or 10% error in the testing, which is way bad, by the way. But what else do we have? I mean, Coralie, how far do we dig on this?
I think the COVID situation is a lot like all the other major situations that are going on, and it sounds reasonable to some people to get out and test.
Yeah.
But I think there's a great many other people that feel like it's a sham, and I don't think they're talking to each other. So I think your point is, I think what you're saying is good. So I just think people need to kind of get back to the talking to each other. Maybe.
Well,
That's all
and
it takes.
it's kind of like you're touching and dancing around something that we've said on the show, that it's become political. So you're right. You've got the one group that's never going to change their thoughts, the other group that's never going to change their thoughts. Somewhere in the middle is the truth, and somewhere in the middle is where we can find these ways to work together and still go about the business of living. I think you're right. You've got these extreme groups, which you seem to have on everything, and everything revolves around politics. So my question is, November 4th, does it all shut down? Is everybody like, oh, we forgot about everything?
No, and I don't think it does.
You know,
and
I'm
I'll
just
tell
saying.
you-
I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
No. Well, but I mean, I said it last night literally, and I was talking with some doctors in California, and they have a very interesting perspective. They're Central Valley people, and so they're conservatives. They're not liberal San Francisco, liberal Los Angeles, and so so there's an interesting response to that, Kathy. But we want to hear what you have to say. How do we get all sides talking? How do we come to a solution? Give us a call, 214-494-1244.
That's 214-94. No, shut it down. Rewind. 214-494-1244.
214.
I know, we're all memorizing the new number.
1244.
It's
That's
on
right.
the screen.
Give
You
us
can
a
just-
call.
Yeah, look on the screen.
Charles just blew the big old secret. It was covert intelligence, and now we're like covert
No,
unintelligent
everybody knows.
because everybody knows it's on the screen that we're looking at. But in all seriousness, give us some answers here. We want to know what your thoughts are. We want to know.
We want to hear from the crew. You're the reason we started this new venture, and we're all about it.
Absolutely. And so you spell out 5, by the way. It's not the number 5.
I know. I figured that out
Okay.
later.
Okay. So, but we want to hear from you. Chime in on any of our social media areas. Chime in on YouTube with JP, Kathy, and the crew. Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, I probably said Facebook
Twitch,
already.
Twitter, all
Well,
of the
Periscope
above.
is
Yes,
Twitter. So,
yes.
but the point is that let us know if you don't want to call in, if you don't want to be a part of it, then send us some messaging, and we'll talk about the messaging. We'll even put it up on the air so that we can discuss that. What are the solutions? Of course, my theory is if you work in the public domain, then do we have a responsibility to say, hey, as a free man, I want to make sure I'm being aware of the people around me. You know, the Supreme Court has said that we don't just have the free liberty to run out and yell fire in a movie theater. Sure, we have the freedom of speech. We have the right to go and we can say what we want, say what we need to say. But do we have the right to incite fear and cause panic? And we don't. The Supreme Court has said we do not constitutionally have that right. Do we do that by working in the public domain and not going out and getting tested, not verifying that we don't have COVID-19?
Yeah,
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
I definitely think that you're hitting on something that's important because right now there's not a lot of leadership. When you think about Black Lives Matter, for example, the Black community, the leaders that are there now came out of the civil rights movement, who would be maybe Al Sharpton and Reverend Jesse Jackson, but they kind of taken it to a monetization rather than the leadership that Dr. King exhibited. So leadership's kind of super important right now. I think President Trump, and I'm certainly not trying to get political.
Oh, go ahead. We love it. Oh, please do.
Well, so he had a dissenting view on the COVID or on what would work. And it seems like he got shut down, which in my opinion, I think America has a history of the diverse conversation, which makes us who we are. And if that goes away, I'm pessimistic about how we're going to revive that.
You know, one of the comments the crew has made as part of a solution is it comes down to the basics, Tad says. Shut the mouth, open the ears, engage the brain, then speak. I think that there's a good start to that. I think listening and hearing is a big part of it. I think that the marketplace does well when we all listen and we hear and then we give input. I think that it's always better when it comes to that. If not, you get things like Antifa running around telling you how you should live. And if you don't, then we'll beat you to death and then send you to the hospital, which I don't agree with, by the way.
At all.
I don't agree
At
with
all.
that. And so, big issue there. Call in, 214-494-1244.
That's 214-494-1244.
We are 1 minute away from,
214-494-1244.
there you go, from the getting in and giving us a call and letting us know what your thoughts are. It is
That's
currently
214
Oh, Chuck's going to
494.
Bust a move.
Hey.
1244.
Dun, 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 dun,
214
and
494.
applause. And where are the applause?
1
Look
4
at him. I love
Where are
that.
the
4
applause?
9
Oh.
4.
Well, he's
One,
got an
2.
applause track.
Yeah, but he's
4,
busy right now, reciting the phone
4.
number over and over again.
He can multitask. He's great.
Great
love
job,
it.
Charles. I love that. And Chandler Foreman says, JP would know how to site we don't often see. Thank you, Chandler. Love you too. Where's your dad, Chandler? Do we have Chad now? All right. It's currently 8:13 in here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You are tuned in to the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network at the VentureX Studios here in Frisco.
All right, and JP, we're sitting at sunny and 81 degrees. We've got a high today of 98 and a low of 78.
All right, and so we are getting ready to talk with Chad Green. Can we get Chad up on the screen? Is he giving us video feed? Love to be. There he is. Look at that handsome man.
Hey, Chad. Good morning.
Can we hear him? You are muted, Chad.
Chad, unmute, brother. We got a lot to say.
Yes, I hear people calling too. Somebody's calling us. I don't know who.
Okay, I wonder, is he unmuting?
Let's see if he can unmute. We'll get Chad on here in a second. We're going to be talking with Chad about what went on in McKinney with Black Lives Matter and Antifa during the council meeting. Find out what that was all about, why that was happening, what's Chad's take on that, what his conversations were with officials in the city of McKinney in regards to armed people, armed Americans walking around the city of McKinney and the square and around the council chambers. And so let's get Chad back and have that conversation. But let's go ahead and let's kick this off now at this point. Black Lives Matter. You know, Black Lives Matter probably started during Rodney King. Do you remember Rodney King, Corley?
I do.
I think he's here.
Is he back with us?
Is Chad back with us?
Are you there, Chad?
Guys, I have to figure out how to unmute this thing.
We can
we
hear
can
you.
hear
Well,
you
we can
now.
hear you now. Can
We
you
can hear you
us?
now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect.
Woohoo!
So, first of all, Chad, thank you for joining us. You are a concerned citizen and an activist in and around the city of McKinney. Is that a fair and accurate statement, Chad?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. What did you experience the other day with the city council meeting in the city of McKinney?
Well, there's been several different meetings, and they keep escalating. So the council meeting itself, I don't have so much of a problem with, except that people from outside the city are the ones who take up the majority of time. And they have armed, BLM and Antifa have armed people in front of the doorway. So this last council meeting, there was maybe 3 or 4 people from the city of McKinney that were on the other side of things that attended the meeting. Nobody else did. And so we had probably, 20 people get up and speak, and most of them were from outside of the city.
So, what are they getting up and talking about, Chad?
Oh, they're talking about Shimwell, number one, being removed from the city council or the recall election, and they're talking about taking down the statue in downtown McKinney that's at the old courthouse.
Do they give you an impact of that statue being there currently, and do they talk about what the solution would be or what to replace it with in history?
They don't want anything. I mean, I've suggested, well, let's just put up a plaque with the whole history up there if that's your issue, and leave the statue alone. I mean, the artist of the statue is fairly significant too. And actually, Throckmorton himself was a huge unionist. So the history behind Throckmorton is significant. I certainly don't think it needs to be removed. But the other side really doesn't want to engage in that. They go to the emotional. It's insulting to them and it's intimidating to them. We've had many people say that in the city council meetings and then even outside the city council meetings.
So, Chad, answer me this. Do they, when they get up and they say, we need to take these things down, we need to have armed members of BLM and Antifa outside of your council chambers in the city walking around the streets, is there any kind of concern from the council? Is there any kind of response from the council to these questions, to these challenges?
No, in fact, in my opinion, the council really tries to soft pedal things. So they've put that off to a citizens committee to make the decision on the statue. And you can guess what's happened with that citizens committee is the people appointed that are all, yes, we're going to remove the statue. And that's been my greatest disappointment is here we have these leaders appointed to the city council and the mayor's office, and they can't stand up at all. They don't. They choose not to. So, I mean, the decision that I think should have been made is either, no, we're not going to tear it down, or, hey, we're going to put this for a referendum for the people of McKinney. And those were the two right things to do. Instead, by creating this council, what they've done is they've added another month onto this process for BLM and Antifa to come out here. And it's not, they're not threatening people during the city council meeting. It's after the city council meeting when they come up to the statue and they threaten to tear it down. They're at the statue, but also they have threatened almost every city council meeting. They've told the city council, if you don't take this down, we're going to tear it down. So,
and has the council responded to that? Have they said, if you tear it down, you understand that you are destroying public property and we will arrest you?
absolutely not.
Yeah, of course.
In fact, two times that I've been out there, I've seen the police at city council meeting when we're around the statue. The police all of a sudden get called off. This last Tuesday, there were 8 police officers around the square. They were all on bikes, and they were in 2 groups of 4. And you saw them take a call, come in, and they all left together. So they got called off. And then here comes BLM and Antifa. We had a senior citizen behind us, and one of the BLM members started body armor because he wanted to fight the guy. And that's when I told the lady behind me, go ahead and call the police. We called the police twice. No police officers showed up.
Interesting.
3 weeks ago when this happened, a man was threatened with his life going into the city council meeting. He asked for a police escort out and then wanted to fill out a report. The police, and I was standing there, the police officer told him now is not the time to do that. So my concern is that our police officers have been told to stand down in this. Somebody's given them some orders, okay? I'm not sure who that is. I think it's only the mayor and the city manager that have that authority. But they're getting orders for somewhere, and it's doing nothing but encouraging these Antifa and BLM protesters to become more and more, I guess, offensive in their words. We actually had a business owner that when he closed his shop, he drove, his shop is very close to the city council chambers. He drove out down that street, and they blocked his vehicle and told him, well, I guess your white butt has drove down the wrong road tonight. So my issue is not only that this is escalating, but what's going to happen in November around the polls.
Right.
Well, and Chad, that's one of the big things that everybody's concerned about is what will go down. Will there be voter intimidation or something happening to where we can't, that people feel fearful to get out to the polls, to turn out to vote, and statewide races as far as conservatives, and I'm speaking as I'm putting on my Victory 2020 co-chair hat right now, and Collin County needs to overperform, and our conservative cities like McKinney need to overperform in order to help out people like Senator Cornyn and different people who are statewide on the ballot, which is huge. So is there going to be voter intimidation? And if so, what will be done about it? And, at that point, just a shout out to election judges who have the power of a district judge. Don't quote me exactly on that, but they've got certain judicial powers that day to shut things like that down and to call the police and get them involved right away.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And if it's okay with you, I'd just like to give a shout out to the people that are coming. Many of them I don't know. They're just showing up. And there's about 10 to 15 people that show up regularly just to stand there, and we tend to say we're willing to be the road bumps.
Gotcha.
To stop these guys.
Well,
from
and Chad, and so props to you. You're one of those people who is saying you can't come into my town from another town and try to intimidate our citizens. So thank you to you.
You're welcome.
Is Corley's mic on?
I'm on now.
Oh, there you are.
Chad, thank you for your bravery. I think we're not alone here, but I also think that the problem is agency not only being taken away from like friends and family, not being able to talk about things because of sensitiveness or something like that, but it looks like it's been taken away from, like we were saying earlier, our leaders. And that's a very scary thing.
Well,
I think you're right. I had a conversation with Frazier yesterday morning, and I said, look, I just want to let you know, a lot of the business owners are really disappointed in you because they expected more. And he goes, well, what do you mean by that? I said, look, to say that this isn't your decision, that the mayor gets to set the rule and let people talk from out of town and all that stuff, that's fine and dandy, but you do have a bully pulpit. You have time at every meeting to say something. I said, you can even show up at the statue after the meeting. And I said, that's my problem. Yes, I realize you've been appointed to AG Barr's task force, regarding BLM and Antifa, but that doesn't get the job done for McKinney. And so I really hope that he takes that and really start standing up, because we need somebody on the city council too.
Well, yeah, you've got to have people who are willing to stand up and stand strong, and we would encourage, and we've had Mayor Fuller on our show a number of times. We would encourage any of the city council members for McKinney or the mayor who would like to call in and talk about this with us. We would love to hear from you, most definitely. And is your mic on now?
No.
Oh, there we go.
My plan is to invite the mayor.
Absolutely.
And come on and talk about all of this.
He's come on and talked about the recall election, all kinds of stuff on our show before. So
had this conversation. So, hey, Chad, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. I've got one last question for you. And this is really stemming from one of the comments that we have from one of the members of the crew. And this is a black female. And she says, at what point in time, when do normal people grow some blank and take them on?
That's my same question. I mean, I have to say, to be honest with you, if I look at myself as a male, we have more females showing up around the statue than we do males.
Oh, very
They're used to
go
bullying.
girls.
They're used to bullies.
Girl power.
They are
I
used to
love
bullies.
it. I love it. Girl power. So fantastic.
Well,
and hey, I'm all for their right to speak and their right to say, hey, we don't like the statue there. That's fine and dandy.
Yeah.
Don't threaten people. Don't try to mess with city property and vandalize it, and leave people's businesses alone. And that's really my main concern is let's protect the citizens of the McKinney and the businesses down here. They have been hit so hard with COVID.
Yes.
And that's Democrat and Republican businesses both. Leave them alone. We don't want rocks thrown through the window. We don't need any of their stuff stolen. Leave them alone.
Absolutely. Chad, again, thank you so much for joining us here
Thanks
with
for being
JP,
part of the
Kathy, and the
crew.
crew. And just excited about what's coming next. I'm hoping that more people like yourself will take up the challenge of leadership and make themselves a civically minded and get out there and stop the idiocracy. Chad, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Call in. We want to hear what you have to say. Call in at 214-494-1244.
That is 214-494-1244. I've got to get used to the new number. A lot of fours.
214-494-1244.
That's 214-494-1244.
That's right. Call in.
Excellent. I can't wait till we have a camera on Charles.
Well, call in. I want to hear from you. You're speaking on the feed. Charles, can we bring the feed up? Let's go ahead and do that now, and let's talk about some of the comments and some of the questions that the crew is pushing out there. And I'm going to start with Cleo's comment, which is, when are we going to grow some balls and do something? One of the
Can you say that?
Yes, you can say that, Kathy. It's okay.
Did Cleo say that? Yeah,
She
Cleo
did.
probably exactly said
No,
that.
that's a direct quote, by the way. And so it's a good question.
Oh.
And so when do the normal people stand up and say enough's enough? You know, we talked about this in the late 80s when Clinton was running against Bush and middle America stayed home. Why did middle America stay home? Well, middle America stayed home because the economy was good. Everything was really, really good. So Cleo is calling in on my phone. Good morning, Cleo.
Good morning, Cleo.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
So call in again. Chuck, she's trying to call in and
To
she's
accept,
getting
press 1. Okay.
some crazy, weird stuff.
Goodbye.
Cleo, keep calling. We can give Cleo a call. That was interesting.
Send me her number.
I will send you her number. No, we should give it over the air. Just kidding. We won't do
Yeah,
that.
Don't do that to Cleo.
So, Kathy, where are we? Where are we, Kathy?
as far as
In regards to when do the normal people stand up? When does middle America say enough's enough?
Oh, I think you will hear them resoundingly on Election Day in November. I think that is when I think you've got, for example, I have family members who recently asked me to grab a Trump Pence sign, yard sign, when I was up at headquarters. Grabbed it. And literally within 24 hours, that family member was calling or was texting me saying, we have had neighbors who we've never met coming up to say we want a sign. We've got people who are like, hey, I want my voice to be heard as well. I'm tired of the way everything's going. And these are people who they had no idea were political, didn't even know they voted or anything. And so now you've got one whole street that's littered with Trump Pence signs because I think people are so tired of that vocal minority getting all of the attention to the point where it's disturbing to watch the news nowadays. Have y'all noticed? Have y'all ever just been to the point where you're like, I have to put on like a Lifetime movie or something sometimes because I've just got to dummy down and get away from all the negative, hateful doom and gloom that is the news.
Yeah, I don't watch the news anymore. So I read the news.
Yeah.
Corley, what about yourself?
Excuse me. Sorry. I think I'm hopeful that people like Chloe or
Cleo.
Sorry.
Yes, Cleo.
Sorry, Cleo.
Oh yeah, don't get that wrong. She'll call you and correct you. We love Cleo.
Yeah, I'm hoping that something will happen on the other side because a lot of times when an idea is a really important thing, and I think if we let ideas just go and not kind of give them some type of warrant and kind of filter, anything could happen in this country. But I'm hoping that someone just kind of starts it, and then hopefully people will follow. It'll become kind of a trickle thing. Like that's how things kind of get going. So that's what I'm hoping.
All right. And, and here's the thing, right? I'm hoping that we can put aside the passion and the emotion that go along with this, right? And start thinking again. It almost seems as if we have abandoned intellect, which our forefathers didn't. If our forefathers had abandoned intellect, when the officer came running into the Continental Congress and the British were in the bays and getting ready to attack, we would have disbanded the Continental Congress. We would have never had the U.S. Constitution. Men like Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, George Washington would have ran back to their farms hoping to have them not burned down. Instead, these were men of courage, men of integrity, and they put down their foot and said enough's enough. And we're no longer going to be treated in the manner that the king was going to treat us. And when do we do that? These were thinking people. When do we get back to thinkers?
Then you're putting something out there that I can run with, and that is thinking people. We have got a
Girl, you run all the time.
Well, I know, but this really has me wanting to run. You've got people who don't think for themselves any longer. Something I've always encouraged my kids since they were young was, hey, I know you've grown up hearing the conservative Republican mantra, and you may not exactly fall down on the same side of the aisle with me on all these different things as you get older, but please do your own research. Please do your own studying and look and don't form an opinion based on an emotional tweet that you see. Form an opinion that's educated because you've vetted a story or you've tried to see, is there something to this? Is it legit? Or is it just because people are running on emotions? And I'll never forget, and this kind of goes back to the whole Idiocracy mindset. If you haven't seen the movie, you have to see it. If you're going to be part of the crew, you have to watch Idiocracy. JP and I literally refer to this movie on a regular basis. It used to be funny when I watched reruns of it. Now it's just kind of sad because it's happening. But I remember my daughter, when she was still in high school, had a friend of hers who retweeted something. My daughter went to the sites I told her to check stuff out on. She went to her friend and said, "Oh, here's what really happened, and that tweet is actually false." And she said, "Okay." And she said, "Well, are you going to remove it from your Twitter feed?" And she said, "No, because I'm still upset." And she goes, "But you're upset about something that didn't happen. That's not true." And she goes, "It doesn't matter because I'm still mad now." And so I think in society, we get news, and I say news, I'm using air quotes, instantaneously from all different forms of social media. And we get upset immediately. Instead of going, wait, is this true? What's the real story here? And then doing some research and putting some gray matter of your own into something before you decide on how you feel about something.
All right, we've got Cleo on the line with us. Cleo, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Cleo, good morning.
So, Cleo, I mean,
Good morning.
I'm right there with you.
All different forms of social
I'm
media.
right there with you. When do the normal people grow some balls and stand up against this?
Going, wait, is this true? What's the real story? I think
here?
Cleo.
I don't know when they're going to.
Can
you hear me?
I can hear you.
That was mine. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. So, Cleo, but expand on that. Talk about that, because you're an intelligent woman. You're not somebody that just throws out expletives. You're not somebody that gets overly emotional in regards to being able to construct an argument on how things should go. Expand on that. What do people need to do? Tell us what we need to do.
People really need to start going to these protests and standing in front of them. You saw in one city where a group of citizens got out and protected the police, because you've got this whole group that are controlling the entire narrative. We also need to be going to our city council meetings and filling up the entire place, standing outside if they won't let people come in because of COVID, and make a stand and say that we are tired of this in our communities, because you're letting a very, very small group of people control the narrative every night on the news. Why do you think gun sales in our country are at a 3-month all high? You cannot even buy a gun. Ammunition is at 10 times the amount it costs. People are afraid, but they're sitting in their homes afraid. And they're letting Black Lives Matter and Antifa and, just the left control the narrative. Trump is, dumb. Trump is a racist. That was the first thing we let them get away with, that they have run with like a ball that actually has no besides the fact that they re-spew this garbage every day. We're also letting Black Lives Matter control the narrative. They make it seem like the number one problem in America is black men being killed or black women by the police. And that's not true. Healthcare, infant mortality rates are extremely high in the black community. Black on black crime is extremely high. Yet we're going to burn this country to the ground over one of the smallest problems that the black community has.
Well, and Cleo, you mentioned something that I think it does not get enough coverage, and that is black on black crime. For example, out of Chicago, on any given weekend, you've got unbelievable, just horrific numbers coming out there on black crime, and you never hear about it anywhere. And then if you have, also, let's take it a step further, and let's go back to like the gentleman who lost his 19-year-old son in the Seattle, whatever they called that. And the reason his son died, and I watched an interview with him that was just heartbreaking. His son died because the police were not allowed by the other citizens to get into that area, the autonomous, whatever. I can't remember what the last name they had of it, but this 19-year-old young man died of a gunshot wound because the police were not allowed to get in there and get to him in time. And the father's like, this has got to stop. He's like, I'm a black man. My black son just got killed because the police were not allowed to get to him. So where is a T-shirt about him?
Well, the problem is they don't want to focus on that narrative. If you looked at Don Lemon on CNN when he was, ridiculing that actor, and I can't think of the name of it, and you've had other people in the media, you've had one person even on your own show that said, we could just focus like a laser for a moment at this problem and stop looking at the other things. I'm like, okay, well, this is what focusing on police violence against black people are. It's like having raging bone cancer. Your entire body is being eaten up with cancer. You're about to die, okay? But you're going to focus on a mole that's on your nose. That's a cosmetic problem. That's what it's like. And that's what we're doing.
That's a
The
good
Black
point.
community has not grown at all in decades. And that's because of high crime, high infant mortality rate. And the high infant mortality rate is totally separate of abortion rate. That's due to access to poor OB-GYN, poor health care for children, everything. And it's not because it's not available in this country. A lot of it is because it's not available in those areas. And people are afraid to leave those areas because they've been taught from cradle to the grave, if you leave these holding pens the Democrats have you in, you will be killed by whites and white supremacists the second you step out of these areas. And now they've managed to spread this fear to corporate America and everywhere around. You know, there's racism everywhere. You know, racism here, racism there. I had a good friend of mine gave me a book called Racial Healing that they're making her over in their church, for God's sake. Okay? This is a Caucasian
in her
church.
church, it's required reading?
You know this person, and I will tell you about it later.
Okay.
It is required reading, and they're on chapter 5. And it's the most racist garbage this book I've ever read. And it's the #1 selling book right now in America. And they're doing it in churches, schools, all sorts of groups. So it's basically the whole book talks about white privilege and how all whites are racist, and even lighter skinned people of color are racist because they have an advantage because of their color. And I'm like, the very premise of this
You're the
book is
wrong
racist.
person to talk to about that.
No, but my point is, how did we get away from a year ago focusing on economy, bringing back jobs to middle America, bringing back industry? How did we let this group totally tear our eyes away from bringing our country back to greatness into tearing it completely down and only focusing on the untruths that are put on the news every night? You would think that we still have the Klan riding in the streets instead of Antifa, which is funny because they are fascists and they call themselves anti-fascists. You know, you would
the
think
irony
that
of their
we have
name.
neo-Nazis running up and down the streets too. Instead, but it's replacing neo-Nazis is Black Lives Matter. And yeah, I will say that on the radio, and I have said that to a few of their members in their face, because they are not used to people taking them on. They're used to shutting people down, and they're also used to using physical force. And I hate to say it, but we have got to a point in our country where we're going to have to stand. We cannot let this small of a group of people tear down our institutions. We can't.
I agree with you, Corley. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, this is what we want, right? We want to hear people like Cleo stand up and say, hey, this is not right. We're not going to take it anymore.
I think she has several good points. I'll try and there are two things that I think are important. Hopefully you can still hear me.
Oh yeah,
or we
but
can just start jamming.
Yeah,
Start
it's jam time. It's Friday.
Let's do the cauliflower. Just kidding.
Is that a thing?
No.
Did you
Corley,
just make
go
it
ahead.
up?
I did. Corley, go ahead.
Yes, she has a brilliant point. Unfortunately, it's not being given in mass media, and so the media is actually convincing Black people that this is the most crucial thing in their life right now, and it's just not true. So with 347 million people in America, and so we have data now on how many people are being killed by the cops unarmed, and we have it for like 5 years now. And we know that I won't go into all the stats, but 50% of those. All right, so 95% of those are justified killings. In other words, people with guns in America, and the other 5% is broken down into essentially 1,000 people are killed unarmed every year. About 50% of those are white Americans, and 25 to 35% are Black, and then the rest are Hispanic and a very few Asian. And so the one of the huge things that's happening to our community is homicide, and so. But when you bring that up, whether you're bringing it up to counter the Black Lives movement, you get stonewalled very quickly.
In what way? In what way, Corley?
Well, they're like, that's not the point. They somehow want to keep the narrative on
So they're
police
trying-
brutality.
They're basically twisting and manipulating the narrative again, is what you're saying. Further.
Correct.
Okay.
But even if you're not using it to counter that, you still kind of somehow get stonewalled. And I mean, if you want to help the black community, well, then let's figure out how to fix that problem. And I don't really see them doing that. The other thing is, and this is kind of a sidebar. Well, it's not really, but so crime has gone up in those towns where those videos have been shown, and we saw that in Baltimore. I believe the gentleman that got killed in the van. We saw crime go up. Crime is way up right now in Chicago, and all over the country. But I also want to say that those people who are thinking that we shouldn't send troops in, we did send troops into the colleges back in the '60s.
We did
when
Kent State.
Yeah, when and stood up to the governor, and said no, these black folks are going to go to college, and they were federal troops. So this isn't the first time that's happened. So I'm trying to figure, so I'm just kind of saying, like, the people who want to stand up, I would say be careful, because if the police don't come, I don't really, you don't want to. Yes, fire sometimes needs to be fought with fire, but perhaps we need to go and maybe stand in front of our governor's house or our mayor's house.
Right, absolutely. Cleo, we want to thank you for joining us. We had to let you go.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate your commentary all the time. It is currently 8:43 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are JP, Kathy, and the crew on the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network here at VentureX Studios in Frisco, Texas.
All right, JP, we've got sunny and 81 degrees here in Frisco, headed towards a high of 98 and a low of 78.
All right, and we're getting Miss Texas on the line, if I'm not mistaken. While we're doing that, when we come in on Monday, one of the topics that I want us all to jump on, and Corley, I hope you can join us. I like your voice on this. You're the voice of reason between Kathy and I. There's no doubt about it.
He's the sane one.
He's the sane one. And so
we love you for that.
But where does BLM's money go? Where does the trail begin? Where does the trail end? And if you want some homework, the crew and those that are watching out there, I want you to go do a little homework with me, all right? And the homework I want you to do is I want you to look up a new arm of Black Lives Matter. They say they don't give to the Democratic National Party. They say that absolutely none of their money goes there. So, and we're not expanding this conversation, Catherine.
I know, but I'm just getting ready for Monday.
There you go. Hashtag What Matter 2020. I want you to go look that up. I then want you to go look up so that you're prepared for the conversation, because this is going to be a big, big conversation. 1,000 currents. 1,000 currents. So, hashtag What Matters 2020 and 1,000 currents, because that's going to be our big conversation point. BLM is bringing in millions and millions of dollars, and guess what? They don't have to report how they're spending it. Amazing.
Well, and I think we'll probably get further into this with what there was Black Lives Matter that started out after the Trayvon Martin ruling versus what it has morphed into. And even some of the original, and I'll have to look, I don't have them in my fingertips right now, but even some of the original people who were involved in the Black Lives Matter movement that started in 2013 have come out and said, we're not part of this political pay for all the Democrats to get elected and unseat Trump movement. There are some people who are in that organization trying to keep it pure, but it's like this whole other side of it has taken control. And then again, talking about narratives, where's the narrative of the people who started Black Lives Matter and got involved originally, who have said, we're not part of this secondary movement? Why aren't their voices being heard?
It's interesting. So to kind of start with the end, there is a lot of money. So after Trayvon Martin, that week they got, I think it was $50 million
right.
they raised in one week.
Wow.
They've been getting money from. So what's funny is on the website they say that they want to essentially boycott white businesses, and I'm just kind of it's kind of a contradiction, but one of the biggest donors are Bill Gates, I think like
John Cena.
$250,000. I'm sorry.
John
Yeah.
Cena gave $1 million.
Right.
Yeah. White guy.
Yeah.
Oh, white
Well,
male.
and again, yeah, you just kind of it makes you wonder. And I can't wait to continue this discussion on Monday.
Do
makes
we
you wonder
have
about
Miss
the
Texas?
originals. Oh,
All
yay,
right.
Chandler!
So enough of that serious garbage.
Now
Miss
for a
Texas.
ray of sunshine.
I want beauty, intelligence,
Beauty and
articulation,
brains and talent.
and
there
there she is. Hello,
Miss
Miss
Texas.
Chandler Foreman.
Looking gorgeous.
Hey. Oh, I can't see you.
We've missed you.
You can't see us.
No, I can't see you.
He's going
Let
to
me
turn
turn-
around
let me
so you
turn
can
you
see us.
around.
Well,
Now
we can
you
see
us.
you.
Yay!
All right, Chandler.
It's
We've
like I'm
missed
actually in
you.
studio.
Chandler, enough talking to you. I need your dad. Where's your dad?
Wow. JP, we haven't talked in I don't know how long, and you're already pushing me out. It's been good.
So, Chandler, wow, what a pivot, and have to switch how things are going to roll with COVID-19. I mean, we even talked about developing your own show, which, by the way, we want to put on our network, and I've continued to develop that behind the scenes. And so I think we got a show waiting for Miss Texas on JP, Kathy, and the Cruise Network. So, yeah,
Oh, man,
fist
you
pump.
gotta
That,
call
She's
me
like,
now.
all right.
yeah, I'm going to call you. We're going to get that worked out. But tell me about the pivot. Tell me about what Miss Texas has had to do to get ready for 2021 COVID-19. I mean, a whole different era.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I think a pivot is the perfect word because, as you know, typically we get prepared in June to basically go on with our lives, what
Right.
we plan for, whether that's return to school, whether that's start our careers. And, you see that the world is in the middle of a global pandemic and you think, okay, so am I going to, the question popped up, are we going to be able to have a pageant? Because we have at least over 100 people congested in one area. So, of course, the thought came about. But then when it was actually said that I would reign for another year, serve for another year, it's like I was kind of a little scared because I'm like, well, will I be able to fulfill the job of this Texas? Because just because I get a second year, does that mean I get to still go out with my school program? Do I still get to, encourage kids to be the leader within? And so kind of like this job, how we're always expected, they tell us, be expected for the unexpected. It can throw, curveballs can be thrown at you, but I
Boy,
must
that's
admit,
true.
This is the biggest curveball that's been thrown. So I think the most responsible thing in this time is making sure that we're all, washing our hands, wearing our mask, and keeping ourselves and our families protected.
So, Chandler, and I love that, keeping our families protected. And I think that is probably going to be, it seems like anyways, a great mantra for Miss Texas to go around the state of Texas, whether it be through Zoom meetings, in the classroom, or what have you, to say, hey, we need to keep our families safe.
I agree, especially because I did take care of, I call it in honor, my family and I took care of my grandmother for a few weeks. And so anytime I was, I'm active, I love to leave home, I love to work out, I love to, just be outside. So I have to be not only cognizant of myself, but I got my sweet, precious grandmother at home and my parents too, who
Right.
also are getting on up there. So at this time, it's truly about being selfless.
Yes.
Thinking about this, yeah.
So, Chandler, what does Miss Texas have in store for Texas over this next reigning year? What's the schedule look like? What are they talking about you getting to go out and do?
And are you back in school? Because I think you still had 1 year of school.
Girlfriend.
Are you back in school?
Girlfriend, you just
Let her
compounded.
talk.
I asked a question first.
I know, but I
Answer
like to
my
add that
question.
into
Answer
it.
my
Oh,
first.
add it.
All right,
Get over
children,
yourself,
do I need to
John.
come over there?
Yes, because I'm now offended.
He needs a cry closet.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a cry closet.
So what does your year look like, Chandler?
I can answer all those in one, actually. So
I love
do
it.
I returned on the 24th,
Okay.
but returning remotely because obviously
Oh.
we can't have class on campus. But I will be graduating in May, and I'll return on campus next spring.
Okay.
And so, I basically get to still fulfill my duties and do what I want while staying focused. And also for the year of Texas, considering, when you read, when we're watching the news every day or we're getting our updates, we see that Texas is still, we have a very high number of COVID cases, especially myself. I'm in Houston.
Right.
And so I think that my leadership is making the responsible decision of playing it by ear, seeing what appearances that I can attend. Funny though, I do have an appearance this Saturday at the Miss Golden Crescent pageant in Victoria, Texas.
Oh, very
But
exciting.
It's not typically, I don't know, you probably remember this, Kathy, actually both of you. During this time of year, Texas is not booked and busy in August because school hasn't started yet.
Right.
There aren't a lot of activities. So I think, again, while playing it by ear, we're also in that middle of trying to figure out what appears.
Right. Well, and so it's a transition, but you will be the longest reigning Miss Texas, correct?
Correct.
When you turn over the crown. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, and we've always said how you were very unique, very special. From the second you were in our old studio, the first time we met you, I was like, there's just something about this girl that's just real different. And here you are, breaking all kinds of records. You know, you were the first African-American woman to wear a natural afro on stage, and you rocked it. I mean, you're just amazing. You made, I want to say the night of the Miss America competition, I want to say I saw like 3 magazine articles on you before midnight.
Right. And you know what? I remember that moment because, of course, we got our phones back early. And I just wanted to clarify, I was the second. Actually, the first was Miss DC back in 2016.
Did not know that. Okay.
She's currently Miss DC USA.
Oh,
wow. So she's the first one. But, of course, it was still an honor to be featured in People and magazines. But by the time the news got out,
you're like, wait a second. Had a life of its own, kind of like you.
So, Chandler, as you move forward through this year, what are the things that you're looking forward to as Miss Texas?
Yeah. So, I think that's a broad question because I'm typically a person who's not driven or motivated by fear, and I don't like to live my life in fear. And so, I know that I still have to persist. I know I still have to be on top of my career goals. Again, my goals for this organization throughout this year. And so my ultimate goal, and I don't want this to sound cliche, but I truly want to get to where, there is some type of normalcy for us. I know normal is gone and this is our new normal, but I would love to see how we're going to adapt and adjust this new way of living through this global pandemic, and even when this is over with, if it'll ever be over,
right.
I'm eager to see how, push myself to new boundaries, because I think this is a time where we're all being stretched with our jobs, with our character, with our patience. Everything is being tested during this time. It takes level-headedness and discipline and determination to be able to see the future, and that we won't always be here. So my goal really is making it through and stay afloat. I think that's important for all of us, is to try to stay afloat in all of it.
I think you're right. And Chandler, one of the things I love and I've enjoyed watching, especially when we were kind of at the heart of that it was really a shutdown all over this, just all over almost the whole entire state, was a show that you and your mom did. And y'all are both such, y'all love Christ, and you're not afraid to talk about your relationship with Christ. And y'all would get on, and y'all just had the most uplifting, middle of the afternoon, inspirational show, just you two ladies. And your mom you say she's getting up there in age. I'm sorry. She looks like she's your sister, by the way. There's good genes in your family. Let's just say that.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all were so inspirational, and y'all talked about the Bible in such a friendly manner. And I would just watch the feed, just, hearts and likes everywhere. And then y'all would end with a little song and dance. And I think it's the people who are positive, like yourself, that kind of gave everybody something to look forward to in what has been a really dark time in our country.
Indeed, and I'm glad that you see exactly what my mom and I's intention was behind that, because there is of course, these are unprecedented times, but there are people who are longing for content to, again, keep them afloat or keep them uplifted, and just natural and authentic conversations that my family and I have never been afraid to have. And so my mom and I, with that, with our lives on Facebook, that was our way of basically saying, come into our living room, have a
Right.
with us. You can't physically come here, but we can virtually be together. And I think that's what this time, another thing that has stretched us is how we can still be virtually intimate with each other. And it's been a journey. It really has. And, we have to make the best of it. My friend always tells me, we're going to either make do or mildew. And I refuse to mildew during this time.
I love it. I love that quote.
Chandler, I have a question for you from my sister in New York who's watching right now. She says, ask her about her musical influences and does she only play the flute or what other instruments
Oh,
does she
great
play?
question.
Okay, so when we're talking musical influence, I have to always give credit to my father. First of all, I know we're probably talking about secular and other types of music, but I began playing when I was 5 years old. I was a violinist, and JB, I was a violinist, and then I had to change districts, and I became a violinist. Started playing the guitar, and also can, not the best, but can play the piano as well. So I've been musically inclined again since I was 5 years old. And at one point, I just knew I was going to be that. My trademark name would be that flute girl. But that's just a form of, entertainment that I could share and use my gifts that God gave me. And so I love it. Hey, sis in New York.
So
by the way.
beautiful.
All right. Well, Chandler, thank you so much for
We love
joining us. We
you.
love you. I can't wait to
Mwah.
talk to your dad, by the way.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to talk to you again, Stacey.
Well, your dad and I are going to talk football and barbecue. So there you go.
Okay. You got it.
We love you, Chandler. You're the
And
best.
I'll be talking with you. All right,
Love you.
Chandler Foreman, Miss Texas. Going to be the longest reigning Miss Texas, by the way, in the state of Texas's
Yeah,
history.
and
So,
just what an incredible individual. We just love her dearly.
all right, can't thank enough Coralie Randolph for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
Charles, for all you do
having me.
back there behind the
bet.
mics and the computers. And
Good
Kathy,
times.
love you regardless.
Okay, I was going to say, are you sure?
Of course I do. All right, we're JP, Kathy, and the crew on the JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network. We look forward to seeing you on Monday. Have a blessed weekend. Take your time, drink a little coffee, enjoy some tea, and watch the sunrise
Smell
this
the
weekend.
roses, all
Smell
those.
the roses and all that good stuff.
Have a
And
blessed
we'll be back on Monday.
weekend.
Don't forget your homework. 1,000 currents and hashtag What Matters 2020. What is the financial arm of BLM? Woo, big topic. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. We love you and God
Love
bless.
y'all.